I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you have a plant that has root rot and you're scouring YouTube trying to find out what you need to do to make your really expensive plant not die. So I wanted to make this video not to show you my French bulldog, but to show you what I did to save my Monstera Thai Constellation. So if you are watching this video, I'm assuming you're like me and you've had a recent run-in with root rot. I bought this Monstera Thai Constellation. She was a beauty. She had 4 leaves, was huge. And then a week after I got her and put her in what I thought was a chunky soil, I noticed one of her leaves started to turn really yellow. And then it just spiraled out of control from there. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is if you suspect that your plant has root rot, it's showing signs and you think that it might be a possibility, I would suggest taking out of whatever substrate you have it in and examining the roots. So this is what my plant looked like.
So as you can see, the leaves were happy. There was no yellowing. And then once I suspected there was root rot, I noticed the leaves quickly started to yellow.
This was only about a week after I had this plant shipped to me. The seller sent me pictures of the roots, so I know that the plant had healthy roots when it was shipped. It got to me next day. So it looked amazing. There was nothing wrong with it. So when I saw that yellowing leaf, I kind of freaked out. And when I took it out and saw the roots, I knew that there was rot because the roots were squishy and dark and just were not healthy white roots. Okay, so you have found that it does have rot. Your next step is to take a sanitized set of scissors or shears or a knife, anything really, really sharp. And I just sanitize it with rubbing alcohol. And you're going to want to cut off anything that is squishy or black. And I know you're gonna wanna leave some of those roots there because you don't wanna chop them all off, but I promise you that the rot will spread. So you're gonna wanna remove everything that you can. It is better to have less and have only healthy roots left than to leave some of the dead bits on there and then just have it spread to your entire plant. So that is your next step. So once you have trimmed off all the dead roots, you are going to want to do a hydrogen peroxide soak. So basically you trimmed off the dead roots. Your plant now has like open wounds. So you're gonna wanna clean them and disinfect them. So take a mixture of hydrogen peroxide and water. It's gonna be 1 part hydrogen peroxide, 3 parts water, and you're gonna let that, let your plant sit in that mixture for about an hour. You'll see bubbles start forming. Your plant will look like it's a little container of champagne. That is just the hydrogen peroxide working against the bacteria that is on your plant. So once you're done with that hydrogen peroxide soak, you're gonna let your roots just chill for about an hour. Let them dry out. Some people recommend letting them sit overnight. I am not adventurous enough to do that, so I let them sit out for about an hour and just kind of dry and callus over. And once that is done, you're ready to move on to the next step. So your next step after letting them dry out is to, this is kind of optional, but I did use a rooting hormone. I used Clonex on what was left of the roots. And you can skip this step if you want, but they also have like rooting powder, rooting gel. You can get it at any nursery or on Amazon. And after you're done doing that, or if you wanted to skip that step altogether, your next step is to kind of treat your plant as a cutting. So you're gonna need to reroot it because you most likely cut off most of the roots. I did try rooting it at first in water, but I found that roots just kind of got a little mushier than I wanted. So I stopped rooting it in water and I put it in moss. I use this type of moss, spag moss, you can get off Amazon. And what I do is I just spray it down with the spray bottle. This does have diluted liquid dirt in it. The mixture that's on, read the mixtures, or read the back of the liquid dirt thing, because there's like 50,000 different mixtures and concoctions you can come up with. But anyways, this is the diluted one. And I did spray down the moss and just stuck my plant in the moss. It has been 2 weeks since I put the plant in the moss, and this is what the roots look like now. So one thing I do think that is really important to do when you are rehabbing a plant is to just treat it as a cutting. Treat it as like something you just got that has absolutely no roots and you're trying to get it to root. So you're gonna wanna give it ideal growing conditions. You're going to want to give it like a ton of like light. So if you can, put it under grow lights. Make sure if it's a plant that loves humidity, give it humidity. If it doesn't like to be in the cold, make sure it stays warm. Like you're just gonna treat it like you're trying to root it, because you essentially are trying to root a full-grown plant that you destroyed. Thanks for watching my video, and hopefully my very expensive mistakes help you to rehab your plant.